Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. It is great to be back here with all of you and for another video, and I just want to say thank you so much for stopping by. It really means a lot to me and I am happy to see that. We've added a few new additions to the Stacking Prepper family. Last time I checked, we were sitting at 194 subscribers. So we are getting close to that 200 subscriber mark, guys. So if any of you who are new here and have yet to subscribe, or even if you're returning and have yet to subscribe, and you're feeling super generous today, if you would just hit that subscribe button, it really means a lot to me, helps the channel grow. You're joining a awesome community that I'm trying to build here. Oh, it's got a little hair here, guys. And to help not only maybe inspire people to start their own stacking prepper journey, but to kind of showcase my stacking prepper journey. Now, in today's video, we're just going to go ahead and jump right in. And let me actually see about turning on a light here. For those of you who maybe don't know, I always film live. I don't do any edits. There we go. That should hopefully help you guys see better. But yeah, I don't do any edits. It's always live. And first cut, I try to be, completely open and I like to think of myself honest, which is why I don't do any of that. And I think it adds a little flair. Most channels do edits and they have their purpose, but I try to, keep it raw and real. But back to the topic at hand. For today's video, I'm going to be talking about what I kind of believe to be the 5 pillars of prepping. And we'll go through each one. I've talked really in depth about one, and that is, of course, the silver and gold, but we'll touch upon that briefly, probably towards the end. I will talk about some of the other ones beforehand. So, to get started here, first pillar of prepping, or of being a stacking prepper, is food. We can't live without food. I also include water in this category, guys. We cannot live without food or water. That is the main, I think should be the main core of everyone's stacking prepping journey. Because without that, what good is having barterable items going to do for you in an emergency? Now, obviously, depending on what you are prepping for, would depend on how much food you want to have on hand. And for me, I'm starting small, and then I'm going to work my way up. My first goal for food and water is to have at least 3 months worth of food and water on hand. That's kind of, I believe, what I don't know if it's FEMA or one of the government agencies, and that's kind of what they recommend for everyone have at least, I think they say 3 days, but I've heard some say up to 3 months worth of food and water on hand. That kind of gives you leeway. And then, after that, I plan to go 6 months and then up to a year. So a year of food and water will be my final goal. But right now, I'm going to just stick to 3 months. And I believe last I kind of did inventory. Food-wise, I want to say I have enough food for me and Mrs. Stacking Prepper for about a month. Water still needs to get up there. I still don't have quite enough water for a month for the both of us. And obviously, since we have pets, we have 3 dogs, I need 3 months worth of food and water for them, which is going to be quite a bit because they're bigger dogs and they like to drink a lot of water. As for the food, that one's a little bit easier to do because we only feed them a certain amount of food each day. But with them, and I actually just had this thought about a day ago, yesterday, I want to say, because one of our dogs were having some digestive issues, so we were feeding them some fiber content stuff, like pumpkin puree and some green beans. And it just got me thinking that for food for them, it's going to be more than just their kibble. So I guess something each and every one of us has to think about for the well-being of both of our, well, for any one of our fur family. So definitely something to think about. It's not just us humans that has to eat. It's any of our precious fur family members, or whatever they have on them, whether it be feathers or whatever, scales, whatever precious pets you guys have. Make sure you are stacking food for them as well. So that is pillar number 1, guys: food and water. Pillar number 2, I would have to say, is shelter, just because food, water, and shelter is kind of the basic 3 pillars, I'd say, of survival. So shelter will be number 2. Now with shelter, I don't include just the house that you're living at, or whatever place you have to go during an emergency, whatever you want to call it, bug out location, whatever. It's not just that, but that is a big part of it. It could be having tents in your car in case you're stuck on the highway somewhere. I include also kind of a bit more of the self-sufficiency side of things. So things like having garden, having animals for production. So if you chickens for eggs, some type of meat, maybe some type of milk production, whatever suits your needs for what you can do. And also skills that your household can bring to the table. So I kind of lump all of that together under shelter. And that one for me is, for the Stacking Prepper family here, is still a little bit of a ways away, because me and Mrs. Stacking Prepper, we don't have a place of our own yet. I'm living with my parents, so right now that is our shelter. But at some point in time, we will be looking at shelters and a shelter of our own. And if I can help it, I will be looking for a place that has some, if I can, some land with maybe access to some water, and place, stuff to start growing our own food and raising our own animals. So that is number 2, shelter. Pillar number 3 is going to be health. So this is everything for the well-being of anyone living in your shelter. So things like exercising, eating healthy, and medicine. Now, this one for me, and I don't know about any of you guys, but this one for me can be a bit challenging. I'm not very motivated to do things like exercising or even eating healthy, because I love my burgers. I love, I love most things that probably a lot of people eat, pizza and all of that. So I'm starting small. I have some goals. I'm starting small. So right now I picked one meal, and for me that was breakfast. I picked my breakfast and changed what it is I'm eating. I used to eat cereal, and it's just the kind that, like Captain Crunch, that type of cereal. And I just eat that for breakfast. But I decided to change it up, because that is full of sugars and a lot of other junk that they're putting in our food these days that is bad for us. And I checked the label. I'm eating oatmeal now for breakfast, and I checked the label, make sure there was nothing unhealthy in the oatmeal I was picking up. I even looked up all the ingredients. I didn't know what it was. And then, so I do that with some little bit of honey to sweeten it. And this is 100% pure honey, because it's honey that somebody in my local community sells at our little country store here in our town. So I know that it's 100% honey, pure honey. So that is good. It's as good as it can get, and so it adds a bit of sweetness for a sweetener to the oatmeal for me, and that is my breakfast. And then once I do that for a bit, and actually coming up, I'm going to start looking at changing up lunch, and changing up my lunch and starting to try to find healthier things to eat for lunch that is better than what I'm currently eating. So yeah, and then obviously medicine as well. That kind of falls under medicinal storage. So not just stuff for us in case we get sick or hurt, but stuff for the dogs as well. But yeah, that's pillar 3, because if you're not healthy, then you're going to have issues in emergencies. Number 4, I would say, would be financial, but I'm going to touch upon that last just because we talk about it a lot on this channel. So I'm going to skip to pillar 5 and we'll come back to pillar number 4. Pillar number 5, I'd say, would be community. This is probably the least, in my opinion, the least important, because obviously we need to make sure we as an individual and family unit are in a position to help ourselves before we can help others. But it's not a bad idea to get to know your community and get to kind of know who may be a burden on the community and who might be an asset to the community. And I mean, obviously, for those that might be a burden, maybe try and help encourage them to do things to not be a burden on the community when things go bad. There's pros and cons to everything with the community, because obviously if people find out that you're a stacker or a prepper, then they may know where to go when it all falls apart in an emergency, and come to try to leech off of you or to take your stuff. But at the same time, you could also encourage them to start stacking and prepping themselves, and then they actually do it, and then that's one less person to worry about. So I put that one as the 5th one just because it's not like super priority for me, but it's still something that needs to be highly considered, and obviously depending on where you, the viewer, lives, the type of community may be different, so you might take a different approach to it. But I still have to, I feel like it's still something that needs to be on there. So now jumping back to number 4, which is financial. Now this is a topic we love here on the channel, because I am a stacker. And for those of you who maybe have never watched a video about stacking, to put it bluntly, is exchanging your dollars or whatever currency your country uses, like Canada here, and turning it into a physical monetary good. Typically, that's going to be gold, which I have one American Eagle right here. So gold, 1/10 of an ounce, and like you saw with the Canadian silver dollar, silver. I think I probably will include copper just because I see it as this is like pennies and nickels, silver's like dimes and quarters, and gold is like dollars, even though that's probably not a very good example of their worth. Excuse me, guys. But that's kind of how I see it in my head. There's other things to secure financial future in this one. I've mentioned it before, crypto. The only crypto I know of that has any semblance of stability, because I know crypto is very volatile, would be either like Bitcoin or Ethereum. But even then, they're super volatile. So buy crypto at your own risk. And since I'm talking about this stuff, disclaimer: none of this is financial advice. When talking about finances, for all financial advice, seek out a financial advisor. So there's crypto, and then one that I'm looking into, and even though I have almost zero faith in the dollar, I still have to secure my financial future, as you know, in case the dollar still has plenty of years left in it. And so that would be looking into investing your dollars into like stocks. For me, particular dividend paying stocks, so ones that pay me money back for owning them. Just because I like to kind of create what a lot of people call a passive income flow through that. And then my goal with that would be I'd take that passive income to either convert it into, like, the dividends I get paid, convert it into more gold and silver or copper, or I would reinvest it into more stocks. Or if I ever get to the point, I'd use that as a type of income, and then I can either cut back hours at work, or if I'm really lucky, stop working entirely. So you never know. But that is my 5 pillars for being a stacking prepper. If you have anything that you guys can think of that falls under one of those 5 categories, leave it down in the comments below. I'm super, open to suggestions and ideas, and I know I can't think of anything. So that, I guess, falls under the community part of the pillars. Is with this community we can share ideas and expand our knowledge, because one person can't think of everything. So yeah, if you've made it this far, once again, thank you so very much. It means a lot. And maybe consider hitting that subscribe button, and if you're super generous, hit that thumbs up button as well to help give the channel a helping hand there. So I'll go ahead and end it here. We're approaching 18 minutes, so I know you guys have sat through a good long video, if you've made it this far. So once again, thank you, and as always, guys, keep stacking and keep prepping. Stay frosty. Peace out.